Hey everyone, welcome back to season 4, episode 7, I believe, or 6. I can't remember. I've been having so much fun, I've just completely lost track of time. So, what have I been working on in my copious free time? First off, you will all recall that, at least from last week, that I was working on a truly crazy picture of a Big Daddy Roth style wizard driving a van. So this should all look familiar to you from last week. Better? Can you all see that good?
Yep, yep.
Okay, so that's how the original picture came out. But of course, because I do love my digital effects, I played around with it in Photoshop, and this is what I ended up with. Some good old-fashioned zipatone effects, uh, you know, shading, and barring unforeseen circumstances, if any of you really love this design and are attending Gen Con or any Goodman Games, any conventions that Goodman Games is going to be at, you're going to be able to get this on a t-shirt come August. I can't personally wait. I think I have mentioned that this will probably be my favorite piece so far this entire year. So what else have I been working on? X-Crawl Classics is still coming along. And the other day, I decided to actually, absorb some sunlight because generally otherwise I sit here in the studio and do my mushroom imitation. So I went outside and I ended up doing this sketch, which has already been approved to be taken to finals when I have time. So that will be appearing in X12 Classics somewhere. Uh, we are also still working on Dungeon Denizens, all 500 and what? How big is Dungeon Denizens supposed to be now? Like 1,500 pages, 2,000 pages? Are we just,
I don't
are we,
know. I feel
are
like
we?
it's become a tome.
Yeah, really. I'm kind of dreading actually next year because we're going to have hard copies of this thing and it's going to be at least like 520 pages. I'm going to have a preemptive hernia just trying to lift these things, let alone an entire box of them.
I'm pretty sure that we can consider it a coffee table book at that point.
No, you can consider it a coffee table. So, uh, during the big unveiling of some of the extra monsters, they came, Chris Doyle and Mike Curtis were describing a monster that they call the itinerant grasper. Mind you, this was a monster that was submitted by a fan that kind of made the cut to like, oh, out of the 100 or so, this is one of the craziest ones because I don't know how much you guys can see this from the sketch, but it's basically just a whole bunch of arms. And notice I did not use the S word, though I was really tempted to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, yes, it's nothing but a bunch of arms that will attack you. And yes, some of them, it's intelligent enough that it can use weapons. I was basically referring to it like what happens if you order Frankenstein's monster off Wish or Overstock.com. Well, we wanted to send, the entire monster, but we actually just had like 70 or 80 extra arms, so we included those instead. Hope you don't mind. So I'm already working on inks for that. I'm not sure where the inks went. Do. Oh, here we go. So there we go. And just think, folks, I get paid to draw this stuff. Though I'm not sure it always covers the alcohol bill for afterward. Okay, and other projects we are still working on. I am working on Dark Tower still, and this is the Idol of Despair. Blown up significantly larger from where it should be, will be printed so you guys can see it. It'll only be actually about this tall, but there you go. Okay, so what are we actually working on this week? So Matt emailed me with a crazy idea to do a version of the Twitch logo as a monster, which I sat there and giggled for about 5 minutes afterward, and then grabbed some paper and started sketching and ended up with this. Where's my actual Twitch logo? Here we go. So that is what I'm going to be working on this week. Oh, just so you know, folks, this is going to be a little bit shorter of a session. I have a lot of other stuff I want to get done, and I don't think it's going to take the better part of 2 hours to do this. And this will give you all a chance to relax for a few minutes before you all tune into the Maw of Mike at 9 o'clock, I believe.
Yep.
During which Mike Curtis will be talking about, I don't know, what does Mike usually talk about?
Whatever's coming out or being made for DCC.
Okay, there you go. Straight from the horse's mouth. Sorry about that, that reference, Lana.
No worries. Wilbur. So before you start inking, we do have a random Joker fact redeemed by Jess.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm looking for the pen that have been using the past few days, and of course it seems, oh, there it is. Maybe. Hold on just 1 second, folks. There we go. Okay. Speaking of Wilbur, as a matter of fact, why did the Clydesdale give the pony a glass of water? Anyone?
Nah, I can't think of it.
Because he was a little horse.
Okay, that one's bad.
Okay, now, those of you who have not just automatically tuned out to save your sanity, let's get to work. Do.
So when you were creating this version of the Twitch logo, what were you kind of like thinking about when you were sketching it out and planning?
I was trying to think kind of like vaguely Lovecraftian because that's kind of my go-to for creepy. Mostly it was just kind of like wanting to fill up the would that be considered the positive space of the logo? The purple part? Yeah, that would be the positive space with as much fun details as I could. Mhm. Hmm.
So I'm gonna dive into other mediums of art. Um,
Okay.
Outside of like drawing and scratchboard and paint and whatnot, are there any other like visual mediums that you've tried, like sculpting or I don't know, glass making or anything like that?
I used to do some sculpting, but the problem with sculpture is, of course, it's very bulky, and I've had to move several years over the course of my life. So, sculpture eventually became kind of like a, yeah, maybe not, guys. I, Plus, I've always wanted to be a commercial artist, and commercial art and sculpture are almost antithetical to each other. So, I'm actually kind of surprised now that you mentioned that I never really took more interest in doing glass blowing or anything like that, because Ohio is well known for its glass blowing. Uh, the nickname of Toledo, Ohio, where I live, is actually the Glass City.
I actually didn't know that. All right.
Uh-huh. Do, 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 do. Well, it's better than being known as one of the best, the most crime-ridden cities in the United States.
True that. True that.
True story. I actually found out from a James Bond novel of all things. Uh, Toledo used to be host to a group called the Purple Gang, which was one of the most influential mafia families uh, back in the 30s. Yeah. Yeah, most people don't realize that until you've read the novels that Ian Fleming's actual background was as a journalist. I think most people just know him as just the creator of James Bond, but he was actually a very highly respected journalist and traveled all over the world. Actually, wrote at least one travel book called Thrilling Cities, and based a lot of the stuff in James Bond on actual world events and such. Now, most people who've only seen the movies only know about what Spectre, that's the basically the group of supervillains. Well, in the novels, that is actually a group called Smersh, which is a Russian organization of spies. And Smersh is basically a portmanteau of Schmertum Spionum, death to spies. With me so far?
Yeah.
And then I found out something several years later. He didn't make Schmersh up. Schmersh was an actual organization.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's like death to spies. Well, that pretty much says what your purpose as an organization is. It's just when the movies started to come out, we were trying to play nice with the Russians, and the idea of, oh well, we're going to expose your dirty little secret of a kind of like KGB on steroids. So they made up Spectre instead. Well, correction. He did end up making Spectre for the novels, but the first couple of novels, Schmersh was the main villain. But yeah, I found out that Toledo was home to a mafia gang called the Purple Gang via the novel The Spy Who Loved Me. Isn't that just a weird way to find out something about Ohio history?
It is kind of interesting how, um, like fiction novels and things like that will draw stuff from real life and
Mhm.
kind of put it on display, and you don't really think about it because you just think, oh, it's a fiction, it's a fiction thing, like they just made it up, and then you go and like look through history and like all of these historical documents or documentaries and things like that, and you go, oh wait, no, that was real.
Yeah. Mm.
With the way you've done some of like the line work on the wrappings around this logo, it's giving me kind of Geiger vibes.
Mm, I can live with that. Oh, here's an amusing detail for you. Speaking of our dear friend H.R. Geek, I think it's actually his name. It was
Is
actually
it
pronounced
Giger?
Giger.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, actually, in his forward to his one art book, he actually addresses that because like nobody seems to be able to figure out how to pronounce my name. So let me put it, out there. It's HRGEE, hard GER,
Got it. It's Giger.
or hard G, yeah, Giger. So I guess he was getting ready to ship a bunch of artwork to a show, I believe in Germany, because he lived in Switzerland. And the customs people took one look at his artwork that he had shipped up, because of course they have to examine it, for shipping. And they were ready to arrest him.
That's not surprising.
Where did you find where where did you take these photographs? what is like he said he was utterly baffled. It's like, where could I have taken these photographs except maybe in hell? I mean, seriously, people. You know what? I think this needs a tentacle over here too. What do you think?
When in
Yeah,
doubt, add more tentacles.
absolutely. I can tidy those up in Photoshop. Thing is, folks, it's only gonna get worse from here. So there we go. That adds a little bit of sense of weight at the bottom of the picture. Let's make a note of ourselves. I don't trust myself to always remember to fix the really fine detail stuff. So I will sometimes make notes to myself if something needs to be fixed in basically in Photoshop. I mean, I could probably break out some of the Pro White, uh, which is basically an artist's equivalent of liquid paper, but for as tiny an area as what this is going to be, it's just as easy just to use the erase tool in Photoshop. Any questions from the audience, or are we all just being quiet tonight?
We're I've been talking and chatting about the Dying Earth box set with a few of the people in chat. We kind of got off on a tangent.
Yeah, that's fine.
Speaking of the box set, Brad here has done some awesome art that is in DCC Dying Earth, and it's well worth, honestly, even if you never play Dying Earth at your table, it is well worth getting the box set and the subsequent adventures afterwards, literally just for the art.
I know Errol just about killed himself with some of those covers.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
Well, I guess he has been a Dying Earth fan for literally like 30 or 40 years, most of his life. So it was kind of like when Joseph asked me if I wanted to do something, you know, Cthulhu mythos related. Your first response is, who do you need killed?
Right. And
Yeah.
I think in the Kickstarter set, even Errol Otis wrote an adventure, which is
Yes, he did.
awesome.
And Arrow is like the coolest cat you will ever meet.
Oh, 100%. I've had him on a few shows that I've hosted. Not me hosting, but I ran the Twitch stream, and like
Mhm.
it's really cool. I can't remember what episodes those were. I know one of them was Dying Earth when we did the Kickstarter for that. So
Mhm.
there's a playlist on YouTube if you guys want to watch it. But he is super chill.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Um,
He is far cooler than the gaming industry deserves. Okay, let me put it that way.
yes, for sure. Speaking of cool people, Joan redeemed a random Joker fact.
Okay, give me 1 second here to let me finish drawing these things. There we go. Good to hear you. Good that you were able to make it, Joan. Dunk, 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 dunk. Okay. By the way, I am still full from Mexican a couple of Sundays ago. This is your 5-second warning to leave the room, preferably without screaming, but I will understand if you do leave the room screaming in advance, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you've been warned, okay? What do you get when you cross a sheep with a rhino? A unicorn,
Hit, hit.
which is either going to be the next monster in the DCC. We'll have to talk. You'll have to bring the subject up to Mike Curtis during Mob Mike if we can slide in a unicorn. Somehow I'm going to use my psychic abilities. What his answer will be.
If you bring it up to Brendan, it would be a yes.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so one of my other jobs coming up that I haven't even had a chance to really start thinking about too much will be the occupations chapter for Xcrawl Classics. So I was reading through that just last night, making my decisions, which ones I want to do, and one of them is going to be a fast food restaurant employee.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's going to be end up being a parody of like a Fazoli's or Olive Garden pasta Pagan Petros, the fastest spaghetti in the West. I think it's still pretty recognizable as the Twitch logo, just properly monstered up. What do you think, folks?
I think so. It's all in the shape.
Mm-hmm. Well, plus, I think this is going to be used as on the Twitch channel as part of the design. So I'm going to be, I don't think I'll use the actual exact Twitch purple. I think that might be pushing it a little bit too hard, but it will definitely be a shade of purple. Oops, sorry. No, it was still in cam. It was still in camera, wasn't
Yeah, it was still
it?
in
Okay.
frame.
Okay.
That's what the blue lines are for.
Hmm. Only halfway through season 4 where I'm finally getting a handle on this. Hey, nobody ever said that I was smart.
Jeez, you do this on a weekly basis, like every couple of months. I can't wait to see this all colored up. It's gonna
Hmm.
look so cool.
It's going to actually be a really simple color job. I mean, it's going to be basically two different shades of purple, you know, but still. Excuse me, folks. How we doing for time? Oh, we're cruising on this sucker, aren't we?
Yeah, a little bit. I was like looking at the time and I'm like, maybe he won't. Maybe he won't get it done in less than 2 hours. And then all of a sudden it hit like 7:40, and I'm like, oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, at this rate, I'm probably looking at a quarter after 8 at the absolute latest. Doo-doo-doo.
Joan is saying that. Excuse me, goodness. Joan is saying that you've been cranking out what she thinks is the your best work lately. All those push-ups and wild and crazy food are really helping.
Well, I do have to say this. I think I'm at this point probably in the best health I've been in since I stopped working at the restaurant and having to really, push myself every day physically. But I'm also eating healthier because I'm not just eating, like massive amounts of pizza and carbs. Well, I'm still eating more carbs than is really wise, but that's just a matter of finances. My doctor was like, you need to be on the Mediterranean diet, which is mostly like fish and stuff like that. And I'm like, have you priced fish lately at the grocery store? Mm-hmm.
Even buying shrimp is sometimes like a luxury.
And the price of shrimp has come down drastically over the years. I can remember when shrimp was something that rich people ate at the holidays.
Oh yeah.
Now you can get shrimp at you know, the grocery store, like what, 48 of 48 of them for like $12.
I only buy it when it goes on sale.
Yeah, pretty much so. Which is just as well because, and Jess can tell you, I can sit there and eat shrimp basically until I develop a tail.
Yeah. You'll just start turning pink like flamingos do.
Yeah, really. So yeah. Well, my salary for Goodman is pretty respectable. It still doesn't allow for a lot of luxuries. No, no, until you're in the absolute top echelon of being a commercial artist, you know, you're not making that much money. The whole starving artist shtick is not completely just a joke. Oh, there we go. Sorry, lost track of what I was working on for just a moment there, folks. There we go. Okay, let's finish up here at the top. These Sharpie markers just found for me are absolutely magnificent for stipple. Got some time yet, so I think I'm going to add some other stippling here.
Now, for those of us out in the audience who might not know what stippling is, would you care to explain?
Oh, okay. Um, we're all familiar with the famous painting Sunday in the Park with George, the giant picture, French painting, the people at the park, and it's all the little dots of color. Okay, that is called pointillism. That is basically where by layering different little dots of color on top of each other, you create the illusion of different colors. Like, you put a dot of red and a dot of yellow right close together, it makes an orange. With me so far? Well,
Yep.
that's called pointillism. Stippling is the black and white version of pointillism, where it is basically just, instead of a line work, you are creating texture by doing dots. I don't do it a lot because it can be very time consuming, but for small areas and for things like eyeballs, it does give a nice effect, because sometimes when you're drawing, you don't want like just lines. It's too delicate of a image, or too delicate of a portion of the image. So that's where stippling can become in handy. In general, I don't do stippling because, like I said, it's too time consuming of a technique. I mean, I know people who that is the main thing they do, and it's like, hey, more power to you, but I will stick to my nice quick line work. Okay, folks, I would say this is done in a little over about an hour. If it is all the same to you folks, I am going to call the show an early tonight and finish this on the computer, and we will pick this up next week. How does that sound to you folks? I promise you I will give you the full 2 hours, but right now my brain is jello. So I think I'm going to finish this, take a short breather, and then I will get back to work on probably the whole bunches of arms. And I will probably be posting that to my social media over the next couple of days. And I will probably be posting this to my social media later on this evening. So I hope you enjoyed your time with me tonight. And I thank you, and I will see you next week.